Hi, welcome back to Wild Speculations. I'm Daniel.
I'm Scott.
This week we talk about Exandria Unlimited, Episode 6, A Gift Among the Green. Strong episode.
Yeah.
And probably one of my favorite DM lines that I've heard recently.
Okay.
But we begin with them getting to Neodropak. And we learn also from side chat, this place she made up from scratch.
Yeah.
This is 100% Abria. And I think it showed. I think she was able to set the atmosphere much better than she did in Iman, or even with the Fire Ashari.
Yeah.
Or even by Rodin. I felt she was particularly in her element, describing what they were seeing and how it all came about. And I had a very strong Rudyard Kipling feel. Or that might be giving too much to Rudyard Kipling, because technically, I guess, it was the Jason Scott Lee version of Jungle Book. Yeah, Rose, yeah, you could definitely feel this is her goal for the whole time. Yeah.
Yes.
We have skinny dipping with Dariax, Fern, and Opal. And Daddy Dorian takes all their clothes.
Yes.
And Mama Fiodorai is sort of leading them and stops the guards from shooting them.
Yeah. I mean, Orm was in the water too.
Yeah, but he wasn't skinny dipping.
True.
He kept his clothes on. But yeah. Excuse me. We meet Fudorai's family. Surrogate mom, maybe? Aunt?
Aunt would probably be more accurate.
An Earth Ganassi.
Yeah.
So once again, the elemental theme pervades.
Yep.
With a heavy helping of Furryville. All the animal...
Happy tree fronts.
All the animal species seem to be in abundance here.
Yes.
Which I thought was an interesting choice. On several levels. But it's now, in theory, it's canon that if you want to play a Loxodon or any of these other animal races, you could be from here.
Yep.
Although Taldori has had Tabaxi before, and we had Tortle Orly in Campaign 2.
Yep. And the Explorer's Guide to Wildmount does describe where our Croaker live on Wildmount. So they're officially from.
Okay.
They live in the mountains that separate
the frozen wastes.
No, Jorhas and the Conclave.
Oh, okay.
Where Jester and Ford are from.
Yeah.
So the coastal area and the mountains in between there, there's certain peaks. It doesn't really detail how to get to them because that's kept secret. but the peaks of those mountains are where the Aragorn are from. So they are officially from Exandria proper. Whereas this almost feels Wilde-esque, at least, or Singorn-esque, where it's only there when it wants to be.
No, it's there all the time. It just can't be found by anyone that it doesn't want to be found by.
Fair semantics, I would say. Because if it's there all the time, it can be found. It may be a lot harder, but
True.
It would have to be able to be stumbled upon if it's there all the time.
Well, my feeling was it was guarded by mist, sort of the way Barovia is. A similar magic to that keeps it cloaked.
Okay. I was... I guess that's the same. I was kind of thinking of, like... now I can't think of the name. Ancient city near Tibet.
Oh, Angkor Wat?
Yeah. Where, people go and climb the mountain where someone climbed and found it, but it's nowhere. And so sometimes it's there, sometimes it isn't,
Oh, no.
Shangri-La.
Shangri-La.
Yeah. That was kind of the vibe I got, which is kind of like Singorn, only Singorn, they know where the other location it goes to is.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, why is every elf from Singorn an ass?
Because when you live several hundred years, every younger species is like a toddler to you. So, of course, you talk down to them. You don't have patience for them. That's why. That's why elves are the way they are. I mean, even the elves in The Lord of the Rings are kind of dicks.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know.
But yeah, Rose, Loxodon, I was also pleased to see. And I thought that the elephant being concerned with being remembered was appropriate. But it also sounds like in that scene, we're skipping ahead here, but it sounds like Abria has written in her story that it's very possible that this city gets destroyed for real.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting as well. But we find out Dorian is a stage name.
Yes.
And what his mother called him was Braun.
Yes. Bronte. Before that, we see another instance of keeping track of the circlet.
Yeah. Of who, yeah.
Wait, you had it. No, I put it back with... Oh, shit, the dog had it. That was great, in my opinion.
Yeah. And, again, speaks to the importance of having something at the table.
Yeah.
To track something like that. We find out that Theodorai's big secret is that she lied to protect her sister, because her sister thought she would get in trouble.
Yep.
For when she broke her arm. And Opal sympathizes in a way that, we said that's how their relationship was going.
Yeah. They
each are the other's sister.
Yeah.
Orem admits to admiring Dariax's butt.
Mm-hmm. As is par for the course for Liam.
Yeah, that's true. Fern talks about her missing parents in a little more detail.
I haven't seen them in over 50 years.
Which, if my math is right, is about the time that Vox Machina was running around.
Yes, because this is
10 years after the end of Campaign 2, which was 20 years.
Which is 30 years. So
I know it's a little bit before then.
Roughly, yeah, a little before Vox Machina formed.
Yeah.
Because I think with all the downtime, they were about 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
For that whole campaign. Game time.
Yeah.
So about 10 years before Vox Machina formed.
So I have a feeling it's all going to come together. Dariax admits he's just a fanboy.
Yep.
Doesn't actually know. Blanking on her name. Tharla Star, thank you. And Ted's real name is Theodora.
Mm-hmm.
And Opal is not Opal's given name.
Nope.
And her given name is Georgina.
Yes, Rose. Dorian very much had the Ford vibes going.
Yeah, well, I mean, he sort of set that up with his
Yeah.
I'm going to be the big bad, betray you all and kill you
Well,
comment at the beginning.
yeah, that and just the whole alignment shift. He's just being more open about his slide.
Yeah. I saw someone joking about how the alignment change is coming, or evil Dorian's coming because he shaved his beard. There's a facial hair change. And it's like, well, isn't usually
It the other way?
Yeah. Which I don't know.
Star Trek does it once and all of a sudden it's a trope everywhere.
Well, I remember Ford did grow a beard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Caleb, who started out evil and arguably tried to get better shaved.
Uh-huh. So maybe it holds.
Yeah, and Dariax is definitely giving off the not vibes in reference to he's the leader, he's the best, isn't he so cool?
I see that, but I don't think
he's trying to channel that.
it's not the same place either. Like, not very much, because what she saw in Caleb wanted him to be the leader. And also because she trusted him more. Whereas I think Dariax's fixation on Dorian being a leader is
harkening back to that fanboy thing.
The
performer.
Yeah, I think so.
I can see that. Yeah, it's not a 1-for-1, but it has that vibe,
Fair. We get that they are a tetrarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably a more unstable than a triumvirate. And I think we're seeing sort of some of the fallouts of that hinted at.
Yeah.
And the 4 cities that they used to rule don't exist anymore, or have fallen, or whatever caused them to move to the center.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think getting back to what you were saying about the Feywild, that's sort of also hinted at when they're talking to the Tetrarch. When she says, we are all driven, obsessed, I can't remember the exact verbiage she used, but to make real what we are inside.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is with the time differential between the Feywild and like this place, because this is actually back to Alon, I think, very adamant that she's 45, not older, but the city is way older.
Yeah.
But she remembers the continent being named Guessar, which was the name before Taldori came over. The first Taldori came over and conquered, and the continent got renamed Taldore.
Well, that could just be a function of isolation and school systems.
True. And it could also be that the reason it's only found by people who want to is because it fades in and out of time.
Yeah, maybe.
So, I thought it was interesting because that it even in the Taldori campaign book talks about the original name before, the first Emperor Taldor, of that family came over.
Do you think the Iron Authority might be trying to get them to rejoin? Or to anchor them?
That could be.
Because I was trying to think, because in that conversation she also set up the Tetrarchy versus the Iron Authority. And I was trying to think, what force might that be? And it would have to be magical or extraplanar, in my mind.
I can see that.
The first thing that came to my mind was the Hells. But we haven't seen any indication of that.
Yeah.
But if the conflict within that society is to remain insular or to go out or, to play with time and form versus we are on a timeline, we are set, this is what we are. And that could be the Iron Authority.
Yeah.
That could be their viewpoint. Yeah, Rose Dariax being Dorian's manager. I think he'd be more like Don King. Because at first I was going to compare... Yeah, at first I was thinking I'd compare him to Elvis's manager. But by all accounts, Elvis's manager was pretty sharp. But I could see him being a Don King.
Yeah.
But
maybe he'll book a joint tour with Dorian and Tharla Star.
Just so he can be close to her. Yeah. Which gets into a whole meta thing with people trying to meet the cast. If you think about it, if you go down that road far enough.
Yeah.
But the most interesting thing that came out of that meeting for me, or the getting to that meeting and everything, was Dariax's divinity connection. At least I viewed it as confirmation of where his divine soul comes from.
Okay.
Where his connection comes from. And that is a deity that they call the Observer.
Mm-hmm.
And I was super excited by that. Because, especially for Matt to be playing that character, I was like, I'm trying to decide if the Observer is Matt. And so he is playing a divine soul insert of himself.
Mm.
So that was one line of thought that I had. And the other is the Observer us?
Oh, okay.
Is Matt making, well, Matt / Abria together, possibly, making a divinity out of the viewers?
Interesting.
Because it's a divinity that, by and large, is not involved directly with things, but that can affect the world a little bit.
Yeah. It's like the Watchers in Marvel Comics.
Yeah. I just lost the name.
Ooh, and
the Red God, the book in Dragonlance.
Gillian?
Yes. I was like, starts with a G. Yes.
Yeah, the head of the neutral gods.
Yes.
Yeah. You know, that's interesting if it is us and it's like a Watchers, you know, and they're just watch, but they do have some influence, because we, as the observers, have twice helped Matt create NPCs on Fireside Talks that have made their way into the game.
Yeah.
The observer could, you know.
Well, and also, you could argue that the us, the community, have improved their rules understandings and sort of kept them, because everyone goes to Twitter to correct Matt when he makes a mistake, and the players get it too.
Yeah.
So I like that, and that also puts it in sort of a balanced, lawful nature. Yeah. So that's why I was excited by that.
Okay. I like that. I'm digging that.
And it kind of reminded me of...
My brain kind of went to the divine soul of Matt's insert.
Yeah.
Your first option there, which is really cool on a very meta level.
Yes, and like it works. And I
am
accept
the
and I
insert
enjoy
of myself.
It. Yes, yes. He's, in a way, literally playing the Dungeon Master. Which also makes his commitment to using his Gilmore dice, which we found out that's why he hasn't gotten rid of it.
And I'll use them till the end.
So it sort of flavors and informs that too.
Yep.
But I also kind of like the idea that maybe this observer deity is us. And it kind of makes it akin to the Shadow Council from Acquisitions Incorporated, the C-Team.
Mm-hmm.
Where the Shadow Council has a much more involved presence in that show.
Yeah.
In that Jerry would come up with a poll, put it up, and the Shadow Council would determine what happens in that poll. And sometimes that poll happened, the event triggered after the break, and sometime it triggered at the end of the episode. Just depended on the narrative flow of things. So, Matt has never done that, and has explicitly stated he will never do that.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think we will get anything quite like that.
No.
But for a minute, it was nice to go, oh, hey, we're in the game now.
True.
also get Opal having two different color eyes, blue and brown. Bichromal, I think is what it's called. Or
yes.
Is that her future? Or was that her mother? Because there was some dialogue about her seeing her mother.
I don't know. I kind of took it as, you know how in Xanathar's there's a warlock quirk where your eye is like that of your patron.
Yeah.
And since she gets her magic from Ted, I was kind of assuming one was the color of Ted's eyes. And
yeah. And that's where my mind went immediately as well. But they mentioned her mom. And a couple times in the episode. And sisters, twins have been a large part of the narrative.
Yes. Yeah, Opal seems to be key.
Yeah.
A key element.
And twins tend to run in families. Women who are twins often will have twins.
And by Rodin, evidently.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I mean, unless she's like a cousin of Vax and Vex or something.
Yeah,
like
maybe.
Their moms could have been cousins.
Yeah. But I was thinking, because she didn't equate it to Ted, and because her mother was brought up, and I started thinking about this twins running in families, hex blades, magic weapons, often become heirlooms, and power transfers generationally as well. What if her mother had a twin, and there's some kind of family curse deal that got made eons ago?
What if mom is the Ted in between her and her sister? And that's why she left. Because she's now in her sister's, the source of her sister's magic.
I don't think so. I think their mother was the Opal, and she had to leave because of this family curse, this power. And she was off doing whatever, trying to fight this purple woman. And their family has been going through trying to keep this debt from being collected, or to stop their family being the fall people or the linchpin in whatever evil is going on.
Okay.
And it sounds like it's a drow, and it is a personification of Lolth. And I'm beginning to wonder, as I'm talking through it, if whatever power she wants from them is why all the drow are crazy. Because they don't have it.
Maybe, but...
like if they could just get this power...
Cassandra? Is that her name? Nistara? She wasn't a drow. They established that they met her. She was wearing all purple. She was the elf from Singorn.
Oh, no, that's a red herring.
Oh, you think?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. For sure, red herring. Because Abria didn't try to correct her. Abria didn't explicitly state and refused to answer the question, are they purple or were they wearing purple?
Okay.
And the Spider Queen, purple, royalty, that's the only clue that she gave her, is purple is associated with royal.
Fair.
Purple also happens to be the skin tone of Drow.
Okay.
Purple, blue, that hue. So, like, there's a reason they found that crown. Is what I'm saying.
Okay.
And I think it frustrates the Spider Queen that the first person she reached out to, Opal, the warlock, has never touched it.
Mm-hmm.
Hasn't really been tempted by it. And Fern, who mechanically makes the most sense to wear the crown, we were given a vision of her evil self,
mm-hmm.
a potential future. And I think Abria is making some use of an unreliable narrator.
Okay.
Because every NPC of import they have talked to about the crown, Gilmore, the Loxodon, have said the same thing. Power is just power. It's not good or evil.
Mm-hmm.
But we have seen the exact opposite of that in both the hints at their Dorian's first choice and also the future vision of Fern being evil.
Yeah.
So,
and yeah, Rose, the vlog's done telling her that's because she specifically was asking about that specific elf, and it's not the last time they're going to have to deal with it. And I think that's what convinced me it was actually that elf.
Mm. Well, I mean, Singorn is a power in the area.
Yeah.
They are trying to prevent Fern from getting home, basically, by closing off the thing. So, yeah, they're going to have to deal with them.
I mean, that's fair. You make good points. I don't know if I 100% buy your logic. No offense. We call the show Wild Speculations for a reason.
Fair.
You have good points. I think they're grounded more in theory than evidence, though.
Wait.
But I'm with Rose. I'm 50-50 on it right now.
Moving on. One of the interesting points is the divine arcane equivocation made, talking about magic and power being power.
Yeah.
And also coming out and saying you're on the precipice of great or terrible things. I think that's more her trying to play up the will they, won't they of the crown. And again, it gets back to the unreliable narrator that Abria is using.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, and it also gets back to the dichotomy between, destiny, as Caduceus saw it.
Mm-hmm.
That, we all have there's a plan for us. We all following it. We're on the path. This is all going to happen. We're just doing our part. Versus the traveler / jester. Nothing happens for a reason. It's absolute fucking chaos. So I don't know if it's her trying to maintain the tension and the potential of evil.
Well, at this point, I don't think she really has to try for that because they're in possession of the circlet. We've already seen one character's alignment shift that way. I just...
Whose player already made the choice to use the circlet, which Funerai somehow undid.
Yeah. And in fact, I would argue even Orem is starting down that slope.
Why do you say that?
Because he's, over the course, he's far more okay with what everyone's doing. Like, he's not putting up any fights to anything.
You don't think that's just that he realizes that he is outnumbered? And as a battle master, he knows he has to pick his fights.
I mean...
And your best chance of a successful plan is to not have your enemy know about it?
I mean, that's possible, but...
I mean, this is the guy who played Vax and Caleb. You don't think he's planning to kill some folks if they do the wrong thing with that crown?
Well, and arguably, this is the guy who played Vax and Caleb. You don't think he's not tempted about what he could do with the crown?
No. Not Orem. Orem's not a spellcaster or anything.
Doesn't really give you spells.
It's fair. But I don't think...
It's not really a spellcasty trinket. Gives you advantage on initiative, which he's already got with the shield, but...
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think he's tempted by it at all. I think he's just being quiet, and so long as his chaotic friends don't stray to evil, he's not going to say anything. And Funerai has been the willful conscience of the party, leading them through the jungle, and has been that voice, so he hasn't had to be. And they are willing to listen to her because she's 5th level and a monk.
Because don't monk shit.
Because she could knock them all out in 2 turns.
Fair.
I
was like, wait, would it take 2? Yeah, it would, just because for the first turn in.
Yeah.
That leaves 1 for the second turn.
Yeah. So, the other interesting thing, and getting back to Dariax seeing Dorian as the leader, reinforcing it, Dorian volunteers them to go south.
Yeah.
Funerai said she fears he wants to go south for the wrong reasons. Do you think that's true? Because I'm trying to figure out why she thinks that.
I don't know if it's true, but I think it's a valid concern. She knows he's being influenced by the circlet to some degree. She knows that at this point that he recognizes her from their previous meeting. He's the one that can't be trusted in the party.
No argument.
Now, while her fearing that he's going for the wrong reason is almost in contradiction to her statement of faith in him that he won't make that choice, the same choice again, I think it's the realism that yeah, he will make the same choice again. And I think it's her way, her saying she fears he's doing it is her way of broadcasting, I'm watching you.
Well, fair.
Don't fuck up.
Except that she's not, because she's leaving.
Canonically, she's been watching them since pre-episode 1.
Yeah, but she was also in their proximity. Now she's buggering off. I mean, she said if they need her, the gift will bring her to them. Again. But, yeah. Also...
she could be keeping tabs on him through the gift.
Fair.
Asking the gift, do I need to go put him back in line?
We also arguably got insight into the Room Child source of power in that discussion.
Very much so.
Yeah, Rose, good point. Yeah, she knew she would leave because she actually leveled up to 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about that in that sense, but...
Yeah, when they showed, we had talked and you had said she probably wasn't going to level up.
Yeah.
When the next show happened and she did in fact level up, I was like, she's either leaving or she will be the big bad. And it'll be the 5 on her.
As the episode was drawing to a close, and Fiora Rai was saying her goodbyes, and, talking to Dorian, didn't bother to warn Oram either, which I think will be the thing that makes it happen. Like, if she had warned Oram, I think maybe he might have been able to do something to stop it.
Okay.
Although then I'm also sort of getting into the whole Master Oogway. We often find our destiny on the road we choose to take to avoid it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. Because we don't know what happened that led up to Dorian choosing his choice last time. And whether Oram did say something to stop it then.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about how can Dorian be trusted. I'm a little worried that her warning him to not make the same choice, because we haven't gotten to why he made that choice. And he did say, I'll do anything to protect my friends, which is what caused his alignment to shift.
Well, I think it was because he specifically stated he would trade an entire city of people for his 5 friends.
Yeah. But it gets back to, I'll do anything for my friends. And all he did was reiterate the very choice that he's already made. So I don't think she changed his path, if that makes sense.
Right.
I think he's on that path. And he's gonna fail like Frodo. They are at the edge, at the precipice. No, the ring is mine.
Yeah. So, I mean, Pure Ride's going to show back up and bite his finger off?
I think Fern will bite his finger off. Because Fern wants that fucking crown. Actually wants that crown. Yeah, but They also talked to her, the Tetrarch about somebody watching Opal.
Mm-hmm.
Because we saw 2 purple eyes. That is not scrying.
No.
And she did not use detect magic or see invisibility to see those purple eyes. She used her gift. And that's why I'm convinced that it is the Spider Queen watching Opal.
Okay.
That's one of the reasons. And as they leave the Tetrarch, they are attacked. Which is where one of my favorite DM lines I've ever heard before.
I just want you to...
I'm giving you a moment to self-actualize before I knock you the fuck out.
Yes.
Yeah, Rose. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Feudal Rai. I don't think she's willing to trust anyone with her gift. Because I don't know if she trusted herself. And I think that's part of it. Or maybe that's part of what led down the dominoes of Dorian making his choice. Is knowledge of her gift tainted their perception of things.
Right.
And I really liked Abria's use of the chase rules in the DMG. Because that's right out of the DMG.
Yep.
And while I appreciated I don't know, I guess I'm conflicted. I appreciate the use of them. I thought the way that she shifted gears into it was a little clunky, but at the same time, it saved time at the table.
Yeah.
It's no different than when I say, okay, we're gonna do this as a skill challenge. It just sort of breaks whatever panic response may be forming. And instead of them going back and forth about what to do, or with Matt bringing the timer out, just sort of announces, this is what's happening. These are the mechanics. The one place that I have to take exception is she didn't let them use bonus actions. And I don't think the rules for chases specify that. It just says anyone involved in the chase, it behooves them to use their dash action, because otherwise they're going to fall behind.
Right.
And then you're going to be out of range. But on the bright side, it also kept Fern Wild Shape as an action. And so was calling forth Ister. But yeah, once she changed into the direwolf, I was like, oh, easy mode.
Yeah.
It's now only a matter of time. And yeah, Rose. Again, it comes there wasn't as much of it in this episode as in previous episodes, that friction between Abria and Opal. And I was like, do I want to bring it up?
Oh no, for me the biggest thing about the chases was I can attack you, but if I can attack you, you should be able to cast shield.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, I think that gets to that misreading of the rules.
Yeah.
That you're not prevented from using a bonus action. But you can... the choice of your action is to keep up or do
also,
something.
if you don't let them have the bonus action in a chase, that hamstrings key parts of the monk and the rogue.
Yeah.
Who can dash his bonus actions.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
Or even the orc, who can, as a bonus action, move towards an enemy.
Yeah. The flip side of that, though, is she gave them a chance.
Yeah. Because
arguably, the way the chase rules are written in the book, that greater invisibility, when the caster recast that and then moved, at that point, every turn, he's making a dexterity stealth at advantage against the passive perception of his pursuers.
Mm-hmm.
After one go, he should have gotten away. Yeah. Or very possibly gotten away. I don't know if Abria made that check.
Yeah. True.
I meant to look for that on the rewatch in the show prep, but I forgot about it. Yeah, well, and also, when you talk about made you cringe, Opal not getting a turn, technically, any saving throw that you make is at the end of your turn. So when she made that save, that would have been at the end of her turn. Thanks, come again. Next person. Where Abria let her do something. So, while it was a little cringy to watch her basically take away that turn, and to set... Like, for me, Abria set that up in the beginning with that line. I just want you to self-actualize before I knock you the fuck out.
Yeah.
You are a victim and luggage at this point. What would you like to do before that?
Yeah. And
yeah, yeah, Rose. Exactly.
I have a bit of an issue anytime a DM wants to do that. I don't, I don't think it's fair to the player. I have this set up and you can't be in this scene. Totally fine to attempt to do it.
Yeah.
But to be like, no, I'm setting this up so that you're just not in this scene. Period. End of discussion.
Yeah, because
I
also don't think she rolled dice for the hit either.
And I don't, and I've taken issue with that with game masters, DMs that I've played with, that we've played with.
Yeah.
I don't think it's right to 100% take away their agency. And to not even give them the illusion of agency, at least. Give them a chance to be able to do something. You can make it a hard chance, but at least give them the chance.
Yeah. And I think also it was a perfect example in the argument about fudging dice and why I don't think you should.
Right.
As the DM, because Abria could have rolled dice behind the screen and given the illusion that she was making an attack roll.
Yeah.
And then asked, does this hit your AC? And she could have called out a number that was absurdly high that she knew would hit, or something close. But she just said, you feel this, make a con save. Which she also did with Fern. If you don't want the dice to determine the outcome, don't roll them.
Yeah.
Say what happens. Now, in this case, yes, that does, in a sense, take away the player's agency. But she did have a con save.
Yeah.
To maybe prevent that. So, but yeah, the penultimate episode is coming up.
Yep.
I don't know if we're making it back to Amman.
I think that's part of the wrap up.
You think that's episode 8?
I think it's part of the wrap up, and this is what happens at the end. In Amman.
Okay, so, okay. Because I was trying to think about it, and she could travel them at the speed of plot. Boom, you are at this place.
Oh, yeah.
And then get into the mystery, the challenge of finding the Tetrarch that's come down here.
Mm-hmm. The
confrontation with the Iron Authority, if that is who has them, or who this is all doing. Well, I get exposition about that. It's. I was struggling to try to. How would I plot it out? And
yeah.
They did spend so much time dilly-dallying in the beginning that the crunch is going to be on them, I think.
Yeah. And, I mean, that's something, as a DM, I've made that mistake more than once.
Oh, yeah. I am notorious for it.
Yeah. I let them do too much and then, oh, shit.
Yeah. I mean, my incidence of that is in a playlist. So, yeah. It can be very hard to push things along, especially when the players are having fun.
Yeah. And are new players.
Yeah. Yes, I have a new player right after this, actually. Because we have to face the woman with the wings of fire again. I just don't know if that happens in the jungle or what.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, yeah. Liam's Caleb.
Yeah. Caleb turned. Wait, what?
And they all did that at the beginning of campaign 2.
Yeah.
And Laura was the butt of the biggest jokes of that. With, is that a little Vex coming out here when Jester would try to negotiate?
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if this mini campaign will help Liam and Ashley do that less in campaign 3.
Or they're going to call themselves Orm and Firm.
Yeah. Well, especially if Ashley or Liam are playing a druid or fighter in campaign 3, because that will make it even more likely that it's Orm and Fern. But yeah. As a fighter, though, if you get Mage Slayer, that's sort of a counterspell. Just a tip for you.
True.
Cast a spell.
And Sentinel.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But at any rate, we will talk to you guys about the penultimate episode next Tuesday. And I mean, was there anything you wanted to?
No.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
So, with that, we thank you for joining us, and we will see you next Tuesday.
Bye, guys.